The Vision Spring Paradox. A social enterprise, Vision Spring, once sought to transform lives in underserved communities by selling $3 reading glasses. For individuals whose livelihoods depended on intricate tasks like weaving, these glasses represented a direct, quantifiable path to a 30% increase in income. A purely rational actor would seize such an undeniable return on investment. Yet sales were abysmal. The logic was faultless, the utility profound, and the cost negligible. So why the paradox? Here on 60 Minutes Book Wisdom, we decode the matrix of Seth Godin's This Is Marketing, delving into the profound psychological undercurrents that shape human behavior. I am your guide, and by the end of this section, you will possess a powerful mental model. Marketing as translation, bridging rational utility and internal narratives. The Vision Spring failure exposes a fundamental flaw in the rational actor fallacy that underpins much of traditional economics and marketing. From a purely objective standpoint, villagers should have bought the glasses. The immediate economic uplift was clear, the quality sufficient, and the need self-evident. This seems, to many, an inexplicable rejection of progress. However, Seth Godin, in his insightful analysis of this case in the chapter on Marketing Changes People Through Stories, Connections, and Experience, reveals the deeper, invisible operating system at play, the internal narrative. The villagers weren't just buying optical aids. They were buying an identity. To openly wear glasses was, within their cultural context, a public declaration of weakness, of aging, of being defective. It was a signal that threatened their social standing and deeply ingrained sense of self-reliance. This perceived social cost far outweighed the obvious financial benefit. As Godin profoundly states, people don't want what you make. They want what it will do for them. They want the way it will make them feel. This dynamic is more urgent than ever in our 2024 attention economy. Companies pour billions into advertising objectively superior products or services, be it a privacy-enhancing software, a new remote work collaboration tool, or a personalized wellness program, only to be met with indifference. Why? Because the narrative around these solutions often fails to resonate with the deeper psychological needs for status, belonging, or perceived competence. If using a new tool signals, "I'm struggling to adapt," rather than "I'm a cutting-edge innovator," even the most robust utility will be ignored. We are not rational machines. We are beings perpetually navigating a complex social landscape, and our choices are often dictated by what Godin calls the story in our heads. Vision Spring eventually found success not by improving the glasses, but by performing a critical act of marketing as translation. They reframed the narrative, presenting the glasses not as a sign of defect, but as a preventative measure, even a fashion accessory. They understood the hidden language of their audience's desires and fears, translating their offering from a problem solver to a status enhancer. The protocol for this narrative reframing is clear. First, meticulously identify the unspoken internal narratives and social currency within your target community. Second, Steelman the lock and key inversion. The digital landscape of 2024 to 2025 is a cacophony of solutions screaming for attention, a bustling marketplace overflowing with keys that have no corresponding locks. This era, rife with AI innovation, crypto ventures, and distributed workforces, often falls prey to a profound strategic error, building a key first, then desperately searching for a lock. This key-first thinking, where technology or a product is created in a vacuum, driven by technical prowess or speculative trends rather than genuine human need, is a recipe for costly irrelevance in an attention-starved world. We're drowning in elegant algorithms and sophisticated platforms that answer questions no one is truly asking, products that solve nothing for anyone in a meaningful, deeply felt way. Seth Godin decodes this pervasive fallacy by urging a radical inversion of our entire product-market fit model. He insists we cease this frantic hunt for problems to fit our pre-made solutions. The traditional innovator, often lauded as a visionary, might argue that true breakthroughs create their own demand, that groundbreaking technology, inherently superior, will naturally find its audience. They might point to paradigm-shifting inventions that were not initially demanded by the masses. While this perspective holds a kernel of truth for truly revolutionary advancements, it dangerously overlooks the psychological undercurrents of adoption. Even a revolutionary product only gains traction if it taps into an unarticulated longing or a latent frustration, a profound lock that people didn't even realize existed until the key was presented. But Godin argues we must still start with that human longing. Instead, Godin posits a profound protocol: adopt lock-first thinking. This is not merely about market research, it's about deep empathy, a profound excavation into the human condition. It's a psychological endeavor to identify a specific, acute lock, a deep-seated desire, an unaddressed fear, a pervasive cultural anxiety, or an aspirational identity within a particular group. This isn't about identifying a superficial pain point. It's about understanding the existential yearning beneath it. As Godin succinctly puts it in the opening chapter, marketing is the generous act of helping someone solve a problem, their problem. The goal is to uncover that problem, that lock, so precisely that the solution, the key, becomes almost self-evident, a natural extension of serving that human need. Consider Theodore Levitt's famous marketing axiom, which Godin expands upon: people don't want to buy a quarter-inch drill, they want a quarter-inch hole. But Godin drills deeper into the psychological strata. They don't even want the hole. They want the shelf on the wall, the feeling of satisfaction from a tidy home, the pride of displaying cherished memories, the calm that comes from order rather than chaos. Most companies are obsessing over the metallurgy of the drill bit, the product's features, its technical specifications, its raw capabilities. They mistakenly believe that superior engineering alone will compel allegiance. Yet, the human being at the other end is seeking the emotional relief of the tidy home, the identity of someone competent and organized. The quarter-inch hole rule as a protocol mandates that we must sell that ultimate emotional outcome, that transformed state of being, not the mere functional tool. This approach forces marketers to immerse themselves in the worldviews and personas of their audience, to understand, as Godin states, what truly makes them tick. In the digital era, where every click is a choice and every feed a battleground for attention, understanding this lock-first inversion is paramount. If you offer just another key, it will disappear into the digital ether, unheard and unseen. But if you articulate the precise lock, the hidden aspiration, the unacknowledged anxiety, then your offering resonates at a primal, psychological level. It becomes a beacon for those who feel that particular ache. The true power lies in understanding that people don't want what you make. In a later chapter, Godin emphasizes, they want what it will do for them. They want the way it will make them feel. This emotional resonance, this alignment with inner narratives and desired self-states, is the ultimate leverage in a marketplace saturated with indifference. Once you find the lock, you must resist the urge to open it for everyone. You must do the scariest thing a business can do, as detailed in Section 3. The smallest viable market, SVM. In an age drowning in information, where every brand clamors for a slice of our perpetually fragmented attention, the conventional wisdom of total addressable market feels less like a strategy and more like a desperate plea. We are conditioned to believe that success lies in casting the widest net, reaching the most eyeballs, yet the digital landscape of 2024 to 2025 proves this a fool's errand. It's a psychological paradox. The more you try to appeal to everyone, the more you resonate with no one. This brings us to one of Seth Godin's most potent insights, the counterintuitive power of extreme exclusion, focusing on what he terms the smallest viable market. Imagine not a vast, sprawling ocean, but a deep, clear wellspring. Instead of scattering seeds randomly across arid land, Godin advocates for nurturing a single fertile patch. This isn't about limiting your ambition. It's about amplifying your impact. As Godin asserts in his work, the smallest viable market is the focus that, ironically and delightfully, leads to your growth. The conventional marketer often operates from a place of scarcity and fear, terrified of leaving potential customers on the table. They argue, why would I intentionally shrink my audience when I could be reaching millions more through AI-driven ad targeting and viral content? This perspective, while understandable, misjudges the very nature of human connection in the attention economy. It's the difference between a fleeting glance and a profound, lasting bond. By trying to serve every transient interest, you dilute your offering, making it bland and forgettable in a world that craves specificity. Here, Godin introduces a radical protocol, the "it's not for you" declaration. This isn't rudeness. It's precision. It's the strategic act of intentionally disqualifying leads who do not align with your core vision or value proposition. Think of it as a finely tuned filter, ensuring that only those who genuinely resonate with your mission enter your ecosystem. In the chapter outlining this concept, Godin states, "It's not for you. It's for the smallest viable audience, the folks you originally set out to serve." This declaration, far from repelling, often magnetizes the right people, creating a powerful sense of belonging and exclusivity. It signals that your work is not a commodity, but a curated experience for a specific psychological worldview. Consider the case of Susan Piver's The Open Heart Project, explicitly referenced in Godin's narrative. She didn't launch a meditation platform for everyone seeking inner peace. Instead, she focused on a tiny, specific tribe, individuals feeling disconnected, seeking authentic spiritual engagement within a supportive community, especially during the isolation of remote work and the digital overload. By clearly defining who it wasn't for, e.g., those seeking quick fixes or generalized wellness fads, she built a high-trust community. This niche focus allowed her to deeply understand their specific needs and desires, fostering genuine relationships that transcended transactional interactions. It's a testament to the idea that, as Godin frequently reminds us, specific is a kind of bravery. The power of the smallest viable market lies in its gravitational pull on the neophiliacs, the tiny sliver of early adopters who crave novelty, seek out innovation, and are inherently wired for change. These are the individuals who will become your evangelists, the unpaid advocates who spread your message because it genuinely solves their problems or elevates their status within their social circles. In a world saturated with digital noise and AI-generated content, these early adopters are the human validators, the signal amidst the static. They don't just consume, they embody and disseminate. You have your tiny market. Now, how do you speak to them without sounding like a corporate robot? You need the Sonder shift coming up next. The empathy algorithm and Sonder. The modern marketer faces a profound challenge. How do we cut through the algorithmic noise and the data deluge to truly see the human being on the other side? In an age dominated by AI-driven personalization, and the relentless pursuit of attention, Seth Godin forces us to confront a vital, yet often overlooked, psychological truth. We begin with the profound concept of sonder. It's the sudden realization that every stranger passing by has a life as complex and vivid as your own, populated with ambitions, anxieties, and a narrative just as rich and intricate. In the chapter In Search of Better, Godin doesn't explicitly define sonder as a marketing term, but its essence permeates his call for empathy. As he notes, acknowledging that everyone holds genuine beliefs facilitates more meaningful connections and engagement between marketers and their audiences. He illustrates this in his example of the boutique coffee shop, where understanding patrons' diverse reasons, from a quiet workspace to a friendly barista, transforms interaction. It's a powerful counterpoint to the attention economy's tendency to reduce individuals to mere eyeballs or data points. This leads us to a crucial protocol for double empathy: the dog food test. Godin illustrates this beautifully. Dog food marketing illustrates that innovation focuses on dog owners' perceptions, as their choices reflect emotional factors rather than the dog's preferences. The dog consumes the food, but the owner buys it. The owner's concerns are not merely about canine nutrition, but about their guilt, their love, their desire to be a good pet parent. The savvy marketer understands this dual empathy. In a world where AI can hypersegment audiences based on declared preferences, the true challenge is understanding the unspoken motivations behind those preferences, the emotional and psychological substrata. It's not enough to know what they click. We must understand why they feel. Now, some might steelman this by arguing, but surely data and A/B testing provide objective truths about customer behavior. Why complicate it with subjective empathy? This is a valid point, yet it misses the deeper layer of human motivation. Data tells you what happened. Empathy reveals why it mattered. Without the why, even the most robust data can lead to superficial solutions. As Godin aptly states in Rethinking Better, individual preferences complicate linear comparisons in value. What is deemed better varies based on personal criteria and context, transcending mere cost or measurements. The shift is from trying to convince customers with facts and features to dancing with them. This means meeting them exactly where they are, understanding their existing worldview, and gently guiding them toward a desired transformation that aligns with their internal narrative, rather than imposing your own. It's a responsive, adaptive movement, not a forceful push. Empathy connects you to the individual, but to move a market, you need to leverage social pressure. Section 5 reveals the strongest force in human behavior. The people like us compass. The human psyche, in its profound quest for belonging, often operates on an unwritten social contract. People like us do things like this. This isn't just a quaint observation. It's the fundamental operating system for cultural influence, a psychological magnetic field that dictates our choices, from the apps we download to the values we champion. Ignoring this field is marketing malpractice in the attention economy. In a world saturated with digital noise and hyper-individualized feeds, the deepest cuts of influence are made not through mass appeal, but through tribal resonance. We're not seeking to convert everyone. We're seeking to activate the inherent human desire to align with a perceived us. As Seth Godin profoundly states, everyone always acts in accordance with their internal narratives. These narratives, shaped by our tribes, are far more potent than any billboard or banner ad. They are the invisible threads weaving our digital and physical communities together. To leverage this, we must first decipher the tribe's deepest anxieties. What are their internal norms, and what do they fear losing by deviating from them? Is it status among peers in a remote work community if they don't adopt the latest collaboration tool? Is it credibility in a crypto DAO if they don't follow emerging consensus protocols? The fear isn't always overt. It's often the subtle anxiety of being left behind, of losing alignment with the group identity. In the chapter on trust and tension, Godin reminds us that changes in behavior usually stem from a desire to fit in and perceptions of status, requiring tension to facilitate such changes. In the current landscape of rapid technological shifts and social fracturing, this tension often manifests as the fear of irrelevance within one's chosen digital or professional sphere. Now, a critical interpretation might argue that this focus on people like us is inherently exclusionary, even manipulative. Critics might contend that by targeting specific cohorts and appealing to their pre-existing norms, marketers simply entrench echo chambers, stifling broader dialogue and reinforcing societal divisions, especially problematic in the hyperpolarized digital climate of 2024. They might say it's a strategy for fragmentation, not progress. However, this misses Godin's crucial nuance. The objective isn't to create division, but to initiate effective change within a focus group. This concentrated effort is not about being against other groups, but about being for a specific, passionate community whose aspirations align with your offering. It's about authentic connection over forced universality. By defining us, you create the conditions for genuine support and organic spread, not just transactional relationships. So, how do we operationalize this people like us compass? Enter the Tribal Resonance Protocol. Step 1. The Cultural Current Map. Before you create, observe. Deeply understand the unspoken rules, rituals, and shared aspirations of your target community. What are the tension mechanism? We've explored how understanding our audience's deep desires is paramount. But insight alone is insufficient to catalyze action. True transformation often requires a psychological jolt, a disruption of the comfortable yet stagnant present. This is where the discerning marketer steps in, not as a vendor, but as an agent of necessary discomfort. Consider the pervasive narratives in our attention economy today. So many messages instill fear of missing out on crypto gains, fear of being automated by AI, fear of professional obsolescence in remote work. But Seth Godin, in This Is Marketing, draws a crucial distinction. As he wisely states, fear alone isn't going to help you make change happen. Tension might, though. Fear paralyzes. It causes individuals to retreat, to avoid the perceived threat. Productive tension, however, is a stretched rubber band. It pulls an individual from their status quo towards a perceived, better future, prompting reconsideration without outright panic. It's the inherent friction of growth, the awareness of a gap between who you are and who you could be, or what your current situation is and what it could become. Now, one might argue, as some critics of modern marketing do, that any form of engineered discomfort is inherently manipulative, and that, as stated in an insightful critical interpretation in the book, not every individual responds positively to tension as a motivator. For some, this approach can provoke anxiety rather than action, possibly leading to resistance against change. This critique holds weight. Clumsily applied tension can backfire, creating resentment rather than engagement. However, Godin's premise isn't about coercion. It's about a respectful, empathetic tension that emerges from revealing a genuine misalignment between an individual's current story and a potentially more fulfilling one. It's about nudging towards a growth mindset, not triggering a flight or fight response. The successful marketer understands this subtle psychological calculus. So, how do we engineer this productive tension? It's a three-part protocol for what we call the status quo break. 1. Identify the ingrained pattern, the current equilibrium first. You must deeply understand the existing routines, beliefs, and even subtle discomforts that define your audience's current state. What's the unspoken narrative they live by? In the opening section of This Is Marketing, Godin tells us, the status quo doesn't shift because you're right. It shifts because the culture changes. Marketers must understand the cultural inertia that keeps people tethered to existing norms, even if those norms are suboptimal. 2. Introduce the pattern interrupt. Highlight the gap next. You introduce an offering that doesn't just present an alternative, but subtly or overtly challenges the validity or efficacy of their current pattern. This creates a cognitive dissonance, a tension that demands resolution. Think of Tesla's Model S. It wasn't just another electric car. It was a pattern interrupt for luxury car owners. Status games. Dominion versus affiliation. Observe two dogs in a park. Baxter, the long-reigning alpha of the local canine community, bristling at the arrival of Truman, a new German shepherd, a challenger to the established order. This primal dance, as Seth Godin illuminates, isn't unique to canines. It is a fundamental, deeply psychological drama playing out daily in human societies, guiding our choices, often in ways that seem utterly irrational to an outsider. We are, at our core, creatures driven by the subtle yet immensely powerful currents of social status. Today, we decode the matrix of status games, the relentless climb of dominion versus the deep comfort of affiliation. In an era saturated with performative digital lives, where AI can synthesize persona and remote work blurs traditional hierarchies, understanding these two fundamental human quests is not merely insightful, it's survival. Many assume status is a monolithic pursuit, primarily tied to wealth or overt power. The strongest version of this argument might be, isn't status simply about who has the most money, the biggest title, or the largest follower count? All else is secondary. Yet, Godin challenges this oversimplification directly. He reveals that while wealth can confer a form of status, it often acts merely as a tool within one of two deeper, distinct social architectures. As Godin puts it in Chapter 11, status protects us. Status helps us get what we want. Status gives us the leverage to make change happen. But the form of that protection or leverage is critical. Consider your professional world. Is the game about scaling a vertical ladder, relentless competition for promotions, bigger budgets, or viral recognition? This is the game of dominion. It's the pursuit of winning, of exerting power and control, often over others. Think of the cutthroat race for algorithmic supremacy on TikTok, or the crypto founder boasting about their market cap. Godin details how organizations like the National Rifle Association (NRA), as discussed in his analysis, master this. Structurally, they don't market politically. They sell dominion. An us versus them narrative, a fight for rights, empowering their small, viable market to exert outsized influence. Their message is clear: join us to win. But then, there's the horizontal weave, the intricate tapestry of shared connections and mutual respect. This is the game of affiliation. It's the quest for belonging, for community, trust, and shared purpose. Think of niche gaming guilds, open-source development communities, or even brands like Airbnb that don't just sell lodging, but a feeling of belonging anywhere. They offer a connection to a local community, a shared experience that transcends a mere transaction. The critical insight for the modern marketer lies in recognizing the tribe's goal. You must employ the status alignment protocol. 1. Diagnose the aspiration asterisk. Is your audience seeking to climb, dominion, or connect, affiliation? Are they striving for individual supremacy in their field, or are they craving deep, shared experiences within a niche? In the attention economy, this translates to, do they want the permission asset? Consider the modern human dilemma. We are drowning in data, ceaselessly bombarded by messages, yet we often feel profoundly unheard. Our digital lives are a constant negotiation between fleeting connections and intrusive demands. How, then, can a marketer not just cut through the noise, but be genuinely invited into the sacred space of someone's attention? Seth Godin, in his seminal work, flips the script on traditional marketing, moving us from the era of brute force interruption to the profound power of permission. Think of it this way. Interruption marketing is like a brazen street performer demanding your gaze and coin. In the hyper-stimulated, AI-saturated attention economy of 2024, this approach is not just inefficient. It's a profound act of disrespect, eroding trust with every unwelcome notification and autoplay video. It's the digital equivalent of someone shouting in your ear, hoping a fraction of their message might pierce your psychological defenses. Godin insists that true impact stems from a radical shift in perspective. Instead of seeking to take attention, we must seek to earn it. This leads us to the critical protocol of privilege audit. Do they actually want to hear from you? Before you broadcast a single message, you must ask yourself with brutal honesty if your offering brings such genuine value that its absence would be felt. To quantify this, Godin introduces a powerful diagnostic, the missed call test. Would your audience genuinely panic if you disappeared? As Godin himself puts it in a phrase that cuts to the core of engagement, the simplest definition of permission is the people who would miss you if you didn't reach out. This isn't about mere preference. It's about establishing a profound connection, a utility so integrated into their lives, or a source of meaning so vital that its sudden cessation would leave a void. This test reveals the depth of your relationship, exposing whether your engagement is a genuine anchor in their world or merely fleeting flotsam. Now, let's acknowledge the strongest counterargument, the steelmaning of the old guard. But wait, the traditionalist might argue, mass advertising still works for brand recognition. Millions still see billboards, get TV ads. You can't build a global brand one email at a time. This permission talk is slow, niche, and simply not scalable for the vast reach required in today's hyper-competitive world. And they have a point if you define scale by sheer impressions. However, Godin dismantles this by highlighting the distinction between rented land and owned assets. While social media platforms, search engines, and traditional ad spaces offer immense reach, they are ultimately rented digital real estate. Your access, your terms, your very visibility are subject to the landlord's capricious algorithms and shifting policies. In an era where AI can generate infinite content and platforms are increasingly gatekeepers of attention, relying solely on rented land is a perilous strategy for long-term psychological impact. The permission asset protocol dictates we must move beyond this dependency. It calls for building direct conduits to your audience, primarily through an email list, but also through direct communities or proprietary channels. This isn't just a list. It's a permission asset, a sovereign territory where your message is not an interruption, but an anticipated gift. Consider the real-world impact of this principle. Rap caviar on Spotify. Tumabasa didn't force hip-hop onto listeners. He curated a playlist that earned the trust of millions. It became a permission asset so valuable that it could break new artists. He didn't have to interrupt. The audience was waiting for his next update. This wasn't about shouting louder. It was about building a relationship where his curation mattered, where his selections provided genuine value and shaped culture by invitation. In his analysis of effective engagement, Godin stresses that permission marketing focuses on delivering anticipated, personal, and relevant messages to individuals who want to receive them. This intentionality transforms every interaction into an investment in trust, forging meaning and connection. Building this asset is the ultimate strategy against the fleeting nature of the attention economy, offering funnel realism and the long tail. We often mistake the marketing funnel for a simple pipeline. Pour attention in at the top and sales magically flow out the bottom. But this linear, industrialized view, born in an era of scarce information, is a dangerous delusion in 2024. Today, in an attention economy saturated by AI-generated content and infinite digital distractions, the funnel isn't a pipeline. It's a sieve. It's a dynamic organism, and understanding its true nature, the mathematics of attention atrophy, is paramount. Seth Godin confronts this head-on, urging us to accept the immutable shape of the funnel. Attention leads to interest, which might lead to trust, which then might lead to action. The critical filter in this journey isn't just about eyeballs. It's about earning genuine trust. In his chapter on the funnel, Godin points out, trust isn't static. The funnel represents the journey from capturing attention to building loyalty. Trust can grow or diminish based on experiences and expectations. Every interaction either reinforces or erodes that delicate trust. Consider the modern reality. The sheer volume of digital noise means you might capture millions of views at the top of your funnel, yet very few will convert. Take the phenomenon of Casey Neistat. Even with millions of YouTube subscribers, a massive top-of-funnel reach, only a fraction will truly engage, a smaller fraction will buy merchandise, and an even tinier percentage will attend a paid event. This isn't a failure of reach. It's the inherent, brutal reality of funnel attrition. Mass reach is a vanity metric if it doesn't translate into meaningful engagement and, ultimately, value. The strategic protocol for navigating this reality, particularly acute with the rise of AI-driven content creation and hyper-targeted ads, is the LTV, lifetime value, CAC, cost of acquisition, equation. This isn't just a financial metric. It's a strategic imperative. In a world where digital attention can be bought, often cheaply but with diminishing returns, the game isn't about how many clicks you get, but what those clicks are worth over time. As Godin asserts, in his analysis of sustainable direct marketing funnels, lifelong customer value should be carefully analyzed against marketing costs. This is the core algorithmic truth. Invest only when the projected long-term value from a customer profoundly outweighs the cost to acquire them. AI tools can amplify your reach, but only this protocol ensures that amplification is sustainable, not just an expensive shout into the void. Therefore, the critical shift is to abandon the mass market delusion. The era of trying to appeal to everyone with generic messaging is over. It's economically unsustainable and psychologically ineffective. Instead, the protocol demands focusing on the profitable few, the smallest viable market, those specific individuals who genuinely resonate with your message, whose problems you are uniquely poised to solve, and who are willing to grant you their precious trust and attention. In the chapter The Truth About Your Funnel, Godin aptly reminds us, successful funnels don't generate magical results on their own. They require careful and consistent marketing efforts that build trust and ignite word-of-mouth promotion among customers, transitioning from mere advertisement to genuine engagement. This means nurturing the bottom of the funnel, understanding the deep motivations of the few, and letting them become your evangelists. The funnel filters people out. But how do the people inside recognize each other? They use symbols. Section 10 decodes the language of brands. semiotics, and the flag. We live in an age of hyperfragmentation, where attention is a battleground and identity is fluid. How do we, as individuals and as businesses, signal who we are, what we stand for, and to whom we belong amidst the digital cacophony? The answer, often unconscious, lies in the ancient language of symbols. Think of the digital landscape as a vast, shifting archipelago of tribes. Each island has its own customs, its own rituals, and most importantly, its own flag. This flag isn't just a pretty picture. It's a condensed manifesto, a declaration of allegiance, a silent scream into the void saying, "This is us. This is what we believe." These flags are not accidental. They are meticulously designed, woven from the fabric of intentional choices. The precise hue of a logo, the serif or sans serif of a font, the specific vernacular used in a community forum. These aren't mere aesthetics. They are shibboleths, linguistic or visual passwords that grant access, signifying insider status. In his exploration of symbols, Seth Godin reminds us in Chapter 13 that marketers have the humility to understand that not everyone sees a symbol the same way, the awareness to use the right symbol for the right audience, and the guts to invent new symbols to be placed on top of old ones. This isn't about universal appeal. It's about resonant specificity. For a crypto project aiming to attract libertarian-leaning, tech-savvy early adopters, a playful, decentralized aesthetic with insider terminology acts as a powerful shibboleth, immediately repelling the risk-averse traditional investor, and that's precisely the point. In the attention economy of 2024, where every scroll is a decision, you have roughly 1 second to pass the scanning test. This is our protocol for immediate resonance. What does your flag convey in a blink? Is it a signal or is it static? Godin underscores this in Chapter 13, stating, "When we scan, we're asking, what does this remind me of?" This primal question taps into our deep-seated psychological need for pattern recognition and tribal affiliation. If your symbol reminds the right people of progress, community, or authenticity, you've passed the test. If it evokes confusion, genericism, or worse, distrust, you've lost. Now, one might steelman the argument that this focus on symbols is superficial, manipulative, merely a veneer over a hollow product. Critics might contend that such semiotic strategies are just clever tricks to bypass rational thought, appealing to base emotions rather than genuine utility. They would argue that in an era of AI-generated content, symbols are becoming even more easily faked, making authentic connection harder. But Godin's framework isn't about deception. It's about persuasion, creating the context for belief. In the chapter on semiotics, he asserts, a brand is a shorthand for the customer's expectations. What promise do they think you're making? This is not about hiding reality but articulating it through a shared language of meaning. It's about ensuring your external signals accurately reflect your internal values and the genuine change you seek to make. An intentionally crafted symbol, a well-chosen word, acts as a cultural anchor in a turbulent sea, allowing your tribe to find you not through brute force advertising, but through resonant recognition. The brilliance of semiotic marketing lies in its selective power. It signals vividly to the in-group while intentionally, or even accidentally, repelling the out-group. Consider Apple's iconic 1984 Super Bowl ad. It didn't showcase the features of the Macintosh. It presented a stark, symbolic narrative of rebellion against conformity. To the emerging tribe of creatives, individualists, and tech enthusiasts, it was a profound flag of revolution. To the corporate Big Brother establishment or those wedded to the status quo, it was baffling, irrelevant, or even offensive. That very irrelevance to the outgroup was a feature, not a bug. It solidified the in-group's identity, making the symbol a powerful emblem of their shared worldview. This is not about pleasing everyone. It's about deeply resonating with the few who matter most for your message to spread authentically. The symbol gets them to look. The price tag tells them what to believe. Section 11 reveals why cheap is a dangerous story. Pricing as storytelling. Why do we pay more for a bottle of water at an airport than a grocery store? The water is the same, the molecular structure unchanged. Yet, our perception of its value and our willingness to pay shifts dramatically with context. This isn't just about convenience. It's about the intricate psychological dance between price and perceived value. A dance where price is not a math problem. It is a brand signal. For too long, businesses have tethered their pricing to a misguided anchor, the cost-plus model. They calculate materials, labor, overhead, then add a percentage. This approach, however, is like trying to calculate the value of a masterpiece by only summing the cost of its canvas and paint. It misses the meaning, the transformation, the story. In our current attention economy, awash in the output of generative AI and easily replicated digital goods, the story is often the only differentiator. If your price merely reflects your inputs, you're signaling commodity. And in a world of infinite choice, commodities quickly become invisible. Instead, Seth Godin urges a radical shift. Reject cost-plus pricing and price based on the story, not the materials. What narrative does your price communicate? Does it scream cheap amidst the digital noise? Or does it whisper curated, valuable, transformative in an era of algorithmic mediocrity? This leads us to a crucial protocol, the apology rule. Never, under any circumstances, apologize for a price that funds remarkable work. As Godin aptly states in the chapter on Price is a Story, better to apologize for the price once than to have to excuse 100 small slights again and again. If your price supports your mission, enables exceptional service, or delivers a profound change for your audience, then that price is an integral part of your story. Apologizing for it undermines the very value you claim to offer. In a world craving authenticity amidst AI-generated fakery, your conviction in your pricing is a powerful signal. Indeed, as Godin observes, lowering your price doesn't make you more trusted. It does the opposite. It signals desperation, not value. Think of your price as a sophisticated filter, a discerning sieve that separates the merely curious from the truly aligned. Use price to filter. High prices attract low-maintenance believers. These are the customers who understand the story, value the transformation, and are willing to invest because they resonate with your purpose. They are not merely seeking the lowest common denominator, which is increasingly dominated by AI-driven scale and cost-cutting. They are seeking meaning, community, and the promise of a better future, for which they are willing to pay. As Godin reminds us, what your customers want from you is for you to care enough to change them. Your price becomes a testament to that commitment, attracting those who share your vision and understand that quality, care, and genuine connection demand investment. Consider the real-world example of Union Square Hospitality Group, Danny Meyer, discussed in the context of pricing. By eliminating tipping and raising menu prices, they didn't just alter their P&L statement. They fundamentally changed their narrative. The higher price wasn't a hidden cost. It was a transparent statement of professionalism and equity for their staff. For diners, it signaled a commitment to an ethical ecosystem, attracting a segment of the market that valued fair wages and a dignified work environment over a perceived bargain. The price was the story. It filtered for customers who believed in that story, willingly paying more not for the food alone, but for the entire, ethically aligned experience. In Crossing the Chasm. The chasm, it's the great divide that swallows promising innovations, separating the fervent few from the comfortable many. In our hyper-connected, yet paradoxically fragmented, attention economy, crossing it feels less like a leap of faith and more like navigating a minefield. You might believe, as many marketers still do, that the answer lies in sheer volume. Blast enough ads, shout loud enough, and eventually, the masses will hear you. Indeed, a powerful counterargument suggests that consistent, ubiquitous advertising can bridge this gap by simply overwhelming the market, making a product so familiar it becomes unavoidable. But Seth Godin reveals this is often a fool's errand. Instead of a brute force assault, he champions a far more subtle, yet exponentially powerful strategy, building a self-sustaining bridge of influence. This bridge isn't built with dollars alone. It's constructed from network effects and social proof, intentionally woven into the fabric of your offering. For the human psyche, what truly matters is not just what's new, but what's affirmed by the tribe. Think of it as the cascading trust protocol. The first step is to recognize that the initial appeal to neophiliacs, those drawn to novelty and the cutting edge, like early crypto enthusiasts or users of bleeding-edge AI tools, is inherently different from what will appeal to the mass market. The neophiliacs crave the new and exciting, the thrill of discovery. But for the vast majority, this translates to risky and unproven. So, the critical juncture demands a narrative shift. Your story must evolve from "look what's possible" to "look what people like us are already doing, successfully and safely." Consider the real-world example of Facebook. It didn't initially market global connection to everyone. It launched as an exclusive network, first for Harvard students, then expanding to other Ivy League institutions. This wasn't about mass appeal. It was about leveraging status and scarcity to create intense early adoption within a specific influential tribe. The social proof within these elite networks became the initial bridge segments. By the time Facebook opened to the general public, it wasn't a nascent, risky platform. It was a phenomenon already validated by millions, fueled by an undeniable peer-driven momentum. The narrative implicitly shifted. Everyone you know is already here. As Godin astutely observes, the dream is that it will be popular precisely because it's popular. This is the psychological leverage of the network effect at play. The protocol, then, is to design for this viral loop from day one. Cultivate the enthusiasm of the few, provide them with the tools and reasons to share, and watch as their engagement becomes the most potent marketing. In today's landscape, whether you're launching a decentralized autonomous organization or a revolutionary remote work tool, you must ask, how does this feel less like an experiment and more like an established norm for my core audience? How do I empower them to spread that feeling? To sustain this bridge, you need leadership. Not management, but leadership. Section 13 defines your role. tribe leadership and the long haul. The digital age, overflowing with AI-generated content and algorithmically optimized distractions, has created a profound human craving, a yearning for authentic belonging, for genuine connection in a world that often feels fractured and transactional. In this landscape, the marketer's role must undergo a fundamental metamorphosis, shifting from a mere purveyor of goods to something far more profound, the leader of a movement. This isn't about clear-cutting a forest for quick lumber. It's about cultivating a thriving ecosystem, a vibrant garden where trust and shared purpose flourish. The old paradigm of selling is a hunt for immediate profit, a transaction. The new paradigm, as Seth Godin illuminates, is a commitment to leading, to fostering a community so inherently valuable that it sustains itself over the long haul. At the heart of this transformation lies service leadership. You work for the tribe, not vice versa. This is a profound psychological inversion. It demands humility, a recognition that your offering exists to serve a pre-existing need or aspiration within a specific group. As Godin asserts in his writing on tribes, the tribe doesn't belong to you, so you don't get to tell the members what to do or to use them for your own aims. This isn't just a tactic, it's an ethical stance, a deep commitment to the welfare and elevation of your chosen community. Your success, then, becomes inextricably linked to their flourishing, their mutual support, and their collective identity. How, then, does one galvanize such a movement? The answer lies in a powerful communication protocol. The GAN's narrative, story of self, story of US, story of now. The story of self establish your credibility, not through empty credentials, but through your personal journey, your genuine transformation, your lived experience that aligns with the tribe's aspirations. It's about demonstrating why you are uniquely positioned to lead them. The story of us articulate the shared narrative, the collective identity, the common purpose that binds the tribe together. Why do we belong? What shared ideals do we champion? This creates the psychological safety and collective identity that fuels action. Consider Facebook's early growth, detailed in the chapter on the funnel. Its viral adoption wasn't merely about utility. It was about status-driven motivations, the inherent human desire to belong to an exclusive, then rapidly expanding, a digital community. The story of now mobilize action through a sense of urgency, a compelling call to step forward and participate in the collective movement. This is where the energy of the tribe translates into tangible change. Now, a critic might interject, in a world screaming for instant virality, where every feed demands an immediate return, one might dismiss Godin's call for patience as quaint, a luxury for brands unburdened by quarterly reports. Surely, in the algorithmic wilds of TikTok and AI-generated content, the fastest path to scale is the only path. Yet, Godin's wisdom, anchored in the embrace of the long tail, success as the aggregation of small wins, offers a potent counter-narrative. He champions the vision of Kevin Kelly's 1,000 True Fans, a concept explored in the chapter on the smallest viable market. Forget mass appeal. Focus on the devoted few who genuinely resonate with your message. The Grateful Dead, for instance, in Godin's analysis, never chased mainstream hits. Instead, they fostered an intensely loyal tribe by allowing concert recordings and encouraging community. This created a self-sustaining economy that outlasted fleeting trends. Similarly, Hamilton, despite its eventual widespread fame, began as a niche passion project, proving that profound cultural impact often starts with a fervent, devoted core, not a universal broadcast. As Godin eloquently states, the best marketers are farmers, not hunters. They nurture, cultivate, and build trust incrementally, understanding that genuine advocacy scales far more powerfully and sustainably than any paid impression. This is the bedrock for navigating the long tail, where countless niches collectively drive significant value, often overlooked by those fixated on blockbuster hits. It's about the slow, deliberate work of becoming indispensable to a dedicated few, rather than merely noticeable to the indifferent many. You have the roadmap, the verdict and outro. We arrive now at the crucible of Seth Godin's argument, a final filtering for those truly ready to wield marketing as a force for change. This book, unequivocally, is not for the purveyors of algorithmic spam, nor for the architects of anonymous, AI-generated content designed to merely capture fleeting attention. It is not for the remote worker seeking shortcuts in the digital wilderness, or the crypto evangelist hoping to capitalize on hype without building genuine community. This is not a manual for those content with the status quo, or those who believe marketing is a game of clever tricks rather than profound service. In his critical thinking on marketing, Godin acknowledges the prevailing critique, that it can be manipulative, a tool for exploiting vulnerabilities. As the critical interpretation in the summary on ethical marketing notes, critics like Naomi Klein in No Logo have raised concerns about corporate influence and manipulative advertising. However, Godin dismantles this cynical view not by ignoring it, but by steelmaning the counter-argument, that marketing in its purest form is inherently neutral. It is, he argues, a powerful lever much like a diamond-tipped drill. In the hands of a responsible craftsman, it can carve out precise, valuable solutions, creating immense societal benefit. But in the hands of the negligent or malicious, it can just as easily bore holes through trust, leaving only destruction. The moral imperative, then, isn't whether to market but how and why. Godin asserts a profound responsibility, elevating marketing from a tactical pursuit to an ethical obligation. As he puts it in the opening chapter, marketing is the generous act of helping someone solve a problem, their problem. And in his closing argument on marketing to the most important person, he delivers an even sharper truth, a psychological challenge to our deepest insecurities. If you hesitate to market your offering properly, it's not that you're being shy. It's not that you're being circumspect. It's that you're stealing. This is the final challenge, the litmus test for every individual and organization navigating the chaotic attention economy of 2024. In an era saturated with information, where genuine connection is a scarce resource and trust is constantly eroded by noise, the question becomes, what change are you trying to make? What problem are you solving? What value are you withholding if you fail to show up, to connect, to lead your tribe? The verdict on This Is Marketing is clear. It's a mandatory engagement for anyone who believes in making a genuine impact. It's a call to action, a blueprint for purpose-driven creation. If you stopped marketing your work tomorrow, who would miss you? If the answer is no one, start over. If you found value in this wisdom, subscribe for more.